Good morning, are you here? All right, let's thank the Las Vegas Kaminari. Wait, let me get their names right. They are sacred people. Las Vegas Kaminari Taiko. One more time, let's put our hands together for that. I am your MC, Aida Rodriguez. Welcome to the National Immigrant Integration Conference 2021. Yes, let's go. I want to hear that you're here. Some of you are a little lackluster. These people came up here and gave you their soul, and all you have to do is reciprocate, and that's not hard. So one more time for them. And thank you. As we start anything that we do, we should always thank our First Nations and Native brothers and sisters for this sacred land. So in this moment, I want to take a moment to honor them and my Native ancestors, my First Nations people, my Taino great-grandparents. So thank you. We say thank you. Say thank you. Thank you. That's where it all started, right? My name is Aida Rodriguez. I am a stand-up comedian. Some people call me an activist. I think that's corny. I think it's my duty to care about other people, and there shouldn't be a label for it. It's not a performance for me. It's how I live my life. It's how I was raised to live my life. A lot of people know me as the Puerto Rican girl, but I'm also half Dominican and also the child of an undocumented man, and I am the product of what happens when a family is torn apart by immigration. So this is something that is near, and I wouldn't say dear to my heart because it's very painful, because I am the product of a person who had to grow up without their father because my mother made the choice of raising me in the United States so I could have more opportunities, and as a result, I did not get to see my father for the first time till June of this year. And you guys said, wow, because you're calling me old. It's been a minute. And the first thing that my father said to me, which I will share, it was, I want to go home. and home meant Boston, Massachusetts. Yes. So I always have to be a part of standing up and speaking up for the voiceless. Through comedy, I tend to ruffle feathers because I confront situations and issues that a lot of comedians will not confront because they don't want to affect their bag, as the children would say. But I just think it's important that we use our voices to speak up for those who cannot use theirs. We need to make visible those that you can't see, because every single person in this room and on this planet is part of this circle of life. And whether we believe it or not, we learned during the pandemic that those people that a lot of folks tend to look down on became essential. Yes? I don't know. I think some of you don't agree with me with your reaction. Am I saying something that you're opposed to, or does somebody disagree with me? Are you too cool to clap this morning? What's going on? Hey. I don't know what I would have done throughout the pandemic without the ship drivers, without the ladies and the gentlemen who clean where we live. And a lot of times those are our cousins and those are our aunts. I'm the only person in my family who's ever been on television. Everybody else has to clock in and clock out of work. And I guarantee you, when I go home, nobody treats me like I'm better than anybody. I gotta pick up the room, clean up, and find my way. And I have to clean the dishes. Because I'm on television, they make me clean the dishes after we eat to keep me humble. I just want to say welcome. I'm humbled to be here. I'm in the middle of getting ready to promote a comedy special that I have coming out in November. And every time my representatives are like, just stick to comedy right now. Don't be political right now. You have this thing coming out and we don't want, don't ruffle any feathers. And I'm gonna ruffle feathers until the day I graduate from this place. Because if not now, then when? And now that the eyes will be on me, you damn right I'm gonna talk about the stuff that has to do with this. So I want to welcome you. I want to give you a warm welcome. I know that you're here because you care. Every single person that's here is here because they care. I'm going to do something that they do at church, that I've been doing at comedy shows. I want you to look at the person that's sitting next to you and say good morning. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, thank you. And now look at the other person on the other side and do the same. Yes. Because as I look into this room, I see a range of people that come from different backgrounds, diversity. And let me tell you something. Regardless of what the powers that be try to tell us, I'm going to always fight for this. Solidarity is the way through. And whether you believe it or not, solidarity is the way through. 100%. It's going to take all of us to change the system, to flip it on its head, to create equity for others. And whether you believe it or not, some people are hurting more than you. I have a very, very tragic past, a lot of awful things happened to me. And my grandmother always taught me to remember, even after all of that, somebody has it worse than you. You woke up this morning, you get to fight again. And so when we talk about immigration, I speak about it often because it is always branded and marketed as a brown thing. And you and I all know that that is not the case. Immigration is something that everyone is affected by because people who live in countries that are problematic and have issues have to seek refuge, and the United States is where they believe they can find that. And so, as many of my Latinos, Latinx, Latine brothers and sisters, non-binary humans, decide that they want to come here, they are not the only ones. And in the erasure of Black immigrants, which I will speak about, as we saw what happened with Haiti a few weeks ago, the erasure of Black people with immigration sometimes, all times, causes them violence. And we will not be silent for any of our brothers and sisters with this issue because every single one of us matters. And so I went off script to say that because I participated in a film that was screened here yesterday that tackled that very issue. So if you think that it's only your group that matters, until that other group matters to you, we won't have power. So if you meditate on any of my words today, meditate on that. I want to wish you a beautiful day. I believe the universe agrees with a made-up mind. We are here. This room is filled with people who all have the same goal in mind, and I think that that's power. We can go out into the world and infect another group of people, and that is how we change the world, and that is how we teach our children to change the world. That being said, are you ready to have an amazing, amazing show today? All right, so now I'm going to welcome to the stage Nicole Malaku. You give her a little bit more than that. Joy Nugent. Joy, correct me when I say it wrong. Laura Martin, because my name is Aida, not Ada. Laura Martin. Hi, Laura, good morning. Enrique Fernandez. Have a seat. Listen, not just with your ears, with your hearts and with your heads, and let's make a change. I welcome you and I thank you for your time and your energy. Be blessed.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I feel like no matter what coast I'm on, Casa rolls deep. All I see is red. So good morning and welcome to Las Vegas. How have you liked it so far? My name is Laura Martin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Progressive Leadership Alliance in Nevada. And we are welcoming you here and asking you all, of course, to put some money in the slot machines, help us pay for our education, and also take part in the dispensaries and help us pay for undocumented legal defense. Everybody wins.
And you to echo that sentiment, I know some of the buffets are closed, but we're all open 24 hours. So there's plenty of choices for you to, eat everywhere. And we are the best food all over the world is here. So after you eat, do what Laura says. You need something. So my name is U.S.who, and I'm the Vice President of the Asian Community Development Council and the Executive Director of One API Nevada. We are very glad to be the local host committee of the National Immigrant Integration Conference in Nevada.
And Yui and I are proud to represent one of the most diverse states in our country and welcome everyone here to Nevada, where 1 in 5 Nevadans is an immigrant. We are also a state of many firsts.
We are home to the fastest growing Asian Pacific Islander community in the United States, with over 19 languages representing over 29 different cultures, estimating at 13% of the state. And also, we have a very large Latino community as well, with almost 1 million folks right here in Nevada, with 2 languages and 28 different cultures. So you know what, y'all? We are one of the most diverse states in the country.
We are also home to the first Latina senator in the United States Senate, our Senator Catherine Cortez Masto.
And we are home to the first female majority state legislature in the United States.
In our strong progressive coalition, we've been able to achieve very hard-won legislative victories in the past few years and made giant strides toward language justice, criminal justice reform, education, and health equity for all new Americans. We are also home to the first transgender woman of color pageant winner, Miss Nevada, Cataluna Enriquez.
It's actually this month is also Pride Month, so happy Pride. We are also home to the first in the West and now first in the nation of deciding who will be the next presidential nominee of both major political parties.
And most importantly, we are home to the first NPNA in-person gathering since 2019.
We are very proud to be a part of this movement, and we are committed to uplift the BIPOC immigrant community, and together we can move mountains.
And now I have the pleasure to introduce our next honored guest, Rulan Pete. He is the Executive Director of the Las Vegas Indian Center and our partner and friend. We're so glad to welcome him as family and to provide a land acknowledgement before we officially begin.
I appreciate this opportunity to be here. I mean, this is incredible. Look at this. Everybody here, I'm in awe of the efforts and those of you that are here. I mean, it's incredible just to see right now. When they say that this is the largest immigrant conference, I thought it was just maybe a few of you here, a couple hundred, but no. Look at from here all the way back. All of you have a great, I love your passion. I'm thankful for it. Just want to say, Ati Wishpisa, Yate Abene, Also, minasan oha gozaimasu. Watashi wa Ruben to moshimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. That was good morning in Paiute, Navajo, as well as Japanese. I dabble a little bit in the Japanese culture. I lived there before. So you don't really see too many Native Americans that speak Japanese, but I'd like to carry on the conversation. I worked my butt off to learn that language, so I'm going to still keep it. So that's just something I want to do. But I want to first open this conference up and recognize the indigenous people of this land, the Niubi, Southern Paiute people, also known as the Tudinu, desert people. Our ancestors, the Paiute people, have thrived in this valley for thousands of years, even before the mob, even before swamp machines. This is an incredible place. Las Vegas has many opportunities for us to grow as a country, but as individuals. We at the Las Vegas Indian Center are taking steps towards honoring the truth, achieving healing, and reconciliation. That's why we provide land acknowledgement for all public events. We, as natives here in Las Vegas, are trying to make a voice for ourselves. The atrocities that our ancestors have been through and for what we've seen throughout the years, and to know what this conference is about, to me it's incredible to be able to welcome those that are here, welcome those that are new to America. Because realistically, when you hear it, and you hear the word immigrant, a lot of times it is tainted a bit. But at the same time, we're here together. We need to grow together. We need to help each other out. Yes, you may be different. Yes, you may like this, you may like that. But you know what? We're all together. We need to make it work. We need to be together in what we do and try to make this country better, but also welcoming those that are here. You know, it's funny when I talk to people and they mention about, oh, I was born here. Yeah, I understand that. But you're also immigrants as well. Your ancestors are immigrants. We've been here for the longest time, but you know what? We're here to welcome you. We're here to welcome those who want to work and want to better achieve this country. So us, yes, there are times that I wish that, hey, yeah, you need my permission to be here, go for it. But I want to be able to say everyone is welcome. You have different beliefs. I have different beliefs. You may like the Boston Red Sox. You may like the Yankees. But hey, you know what? I'll still cheer for you. But here's the thing. We need to grow and help each other out. Us natives here in Las Vegas, we're trying to develop a voice here. We're not going to sit back anymore. We're not going to sit there and be idle to the situations that are going on. It's unfortunate because we're not included in a lot of statistics. So we rely on organizations here in Las Vegas, such as Silver State Voices, ACDC, Asian Community Development Council, Fifth Sun. We rely on those organizations and we also help them. We're here to fight. We're here to be here with you. Whatever you need, we will step up. We've always been that way as natives. We continue to do that for our country. I have colleagues right here that we work our butts off to try to put out the message for those who are in need. And I want to be able to say that it is a chance for us to grow, like I said, but also I would like to say that I am the seed of the people. Sorry, I just get emotional when I say it, but I am the seed of the people they tried to destroy. So I'm here. And I welcome all of you.
a reminder of, they thought we were seeds, they tried to destroy us, and we bloomed into this beautiful movement that's here today. Good morning, and please thank our wonderful hosts here from Nevada who are starting us off strong for today's program. I'm Nicole Malaki, the Executive Director of the National Partnership for New Americans. On behalf of our Board of Directors, the NIIC Leadership Committee, and the many, many people who have helped lift up this year's program, I want to welcome you to Las Vegas. I want to thank our partners, ACDC, Plan, Unite Here, Make the Road, Baji, Immigration Hub, NIIC, CWS Unidos, Chirla, Mira, and NYIC for sticking together for 20 months to bring you all to the Silver States. I also want to acknowledge each of you. We know it was not an easy decision for you to travel across the country and leave your families in this uncertain time. We know that we're not fully out of the pandemic, but we are living in what will be our new normal as we're trying to safely navigate this time. And we also know that we're gathering at a time while much is moving in the field, both on the resettlement front and in our fight to bring about a path to citizenship for millions of families in our community. And we've all read the headlines. They frighten most of us because we know that the reverberations of xenophobia and hate live deep in our historical memory of the country and in our political reality and play out day and day again for Black immigrants, for our Native American communities, for all of our people who are essential and who are part of the fabric of this nation. And the work together that we have to do here at NIIC is to center the voice of the impacted people, of refugees, displaced people, Black immigrants, AAPI community members, refugees, other folks to the forefront of our conversations, because our only way forward when times of challenge is in our solidarity. So we welcome you to this year's conference. We know that we've taken great care to put together an incredible program that honors the breadth and scope of this movement. Everyone from academia to philanthropy to business, everybody who has a stake in creating a more welcoming country is here in this space and joining us online at NIIC 2021 virtually. So welcome, we have a great lineup for you, and I hope that you will reflect on all of this content and build partnerships that will carry you through the month and years ahead. Thank you. And now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our amazing board chair of NPNA and the executive director of Chirla, the one and the only Angelica Salas. And how could I forget? We're sitting here with a national host, Unite Here, who is our incredible leadership host, ready to help us welcome you to Las Vegas. This is a union property full of Unite Here members. Please join me in welcoming the president of Unite Here for the California Council, Vice President of the California Labor Federation, Treasurer of the South Bay AFL-CIO, and he is a native of Uruguay, and he's here today to welcome you on behalf of our host partners at Unite Here. Thank you. And happy birthday to Enrique. Today is his birthday, and it's very special.
Thank you, Nicole. Pleasure to be here. On behalf of Unite Here International and Culinary and Bartenders Union, welcome to our great city of Las Vegas. As you all might already know, Las Vegas is a union town. And today we thank you for holding this event in a union hotel. Unite Here is a hospitality workers union representing over 300,000 workers in hotels, gaming, and food service in the US and Canada. Our culinary workers union, Local 226, represents over 60,000 workers in Las Vegas and Reno. We win livable wages, workplace safety, healthcare, retirement, and dignity. And we are not only a labor organization, we are an environmental justice organization, a voters' rights organization, and for many years, and now more than ever, an immigrant workers' rights organization. Our union is majority women, majority people of color, many immigrants. Workers in our union come from over 178 different countries and speak more than 40 different languages. Our union is a leader in the immigration fight, from securing good contracts and protection for immigrant workers to defeating hateful politicians like Sheriff Ampayo in Arizona. And I'm so proud we helped defeat Donald Trump. But no union was hit harder by COVID-19 pandemic. We faced over 98% layoff all over the country, but despite, we fought back. Housekeepers, cooks, and food service workers canvassed in Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Florida to take back the White House. Then we joined the team that turned Georgia blue for the Senate runoff election. We are committed to push for immigration reform, and immigration reform has to happen this year. Today I can't leave without asking you for a huge favor. We are fighting to returning to work. You can help our room attendants today by requesting daily cleaning. Please call the front desk daily to demand room cleaning. It will mean more room attendants returning to work. And don't forget, and I'm saying it because I was a bartender, to tip servers and bartenders. We are honored to be in the same room with you. And I leave you with one promise. United here will keep fighting for comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship. Thank you for being in the conference. I'm looking forward to an inspiring conference, and I can't leave without asking you. ¿Se puede? Sí, se puede. Sí, se puede. Sí, se puede. Thank you and welcome.
Amazing. And now that our welcome is complete, let's get to our program. And now, the amazing board chair of NPNA and executive director of CHIRLA, Angélica Salas.
Good morning. Buenos días a todos. How are you feeling this morning? Ready to fight? Ready to win? Well, that's what we're here for, to win for our communities. And it is my honor this morning to start this program by introducing one of our champions. It is my honor this morning to introduce to you Congresswoman Linda Sánchez, who represents California's 38th Congressional District. We are so proud to have her as our leader. She is recognized as a long-time champion of immigrants in Congress. And earlier this year, she introduced the U.S. Citizenship Act in the House, one of the most progressive pieces of immigration legislation ever introduced in Congress. Congresswoman Sánchez is also one of Speaker Pelosi's closers on immigration and represents our communities at the most important moments in Congress. We are glad she's at the table. She was first elected as into the U.S. House of Representatives in 2002 and is the first Latina to serve in the powerful House Committee on Ways and Means and the House Judiciary Committee. She's a lifelong progressive. Sánchez has devoted her career to helping working people get ahead, advocating for families, improving America's education system, and bringing jobs to Southern California. Congresswoman Sánchez was born in Orange, California, the sixth of 7 children to immigrant parents from Mexico. Her father, Ignacio, worked as an industrial
machinist and mechanic at a plastics and rubber plant. And her mother, Maria, was an elementary school teacher who decided to further her education by attending school at 9. Growing up in a proud Latino household, Sánchez parents inspired her to take advantage of the opportunities they never had. When reflecting upon the importance that her family and parents had in her life, Sánchez says, in every Latino family, there's a sense of we need to stick together. But I think in particular, her family her family roots make her even stronger to accomplish great things for our community. I want to say that she is an incredible champion for us in California, in Southern California. There's a lot of things that I know about her. One of the things that I know is she's a great Dodger fan. You know, she's wearing blue today just to represent. But the other thing that I want you to know about her, she's an incredible softball player. And from one softball player to another, this woman is amazing. And I want you to know that she's always trying to hit home runs for our community and for our immigrant families. So please give her a really warm welcome, Congresswoman Linda Sánchez.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I don't think you guys are highly caffeinated yet. It's okay. I just had my coffee. I'm waiting for it to kick in. And Heather, I want to thank you for that very kind introduction. It really is an honor for me to join you today. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Congresswoman Linda Sánchez. I represent a district in mostly Los Angeles County, California, but also a little bit of Orange County as well, which is where I grew up. And I'm thrilled to be here alongside policymakers, community champions, labor leaders, faith leaders, and many more to try to strengthen our work to build a more inclusive country. I know that for a lot of us here today, this is really personal. It's very personal for me as well, because as you heard in my introduction, I am the proud daughter of immigrant parents, and they came from Mexico. My dad was an industrial mechanic, and my mom raised 7 children before deciding to go back to school at night to get her degree and her teaching credential. So imagine raising 7 children during the day and going to night school in order to make that happen. My mom did that, and I tell people, true bravery is a woman who raises 7 of her own children and goes into a classroom to teach 30 of somebody else's. But my parents worked really hard and they sacrificed a lot to give me and my siblings the opportunities that they never had. And I'm particularly proud of my parents because they are the only parents in the history of the United States of America who can say that they sent not 1 daughter, but 2 daughters to the United States House of Representatives. And I'm not gonna lie, I like to brag about my parents because their story is incredible, but you know what, it's not unique. It's like the hundreds of thousands of immigrant success stories in this country. Each successive wave of immigrants enriches this country and gives new opportunities. They are stories that show our humanity, our resiliency, our strong work ethic, our talents, and our contributions to this country, whether they're recognized or not. And we need to do a much better job about bragging about what we contribute to this country. There's no doubt that immigrants are vital to our country in more ways than one. And yet, as we have seen, sadly, our immigration system has limited and in many cases prevented immigrants from realizing their full potential with their God-given talents. Well, I'm proud to have worked with many of you in this room over the years to try to change that. Most recently, we joined together to introduce and promote the U.S. Citizenship Act in Congress, a bill that outlines President Biden's vision for a humane and orderly immigration system. And this bill is the broadest, most generous immigration reform bill that I have seen in the entirety of my congressional career, which spans nearly 20 years. It would give families an opportunity not just to survive in this country, but to thrive and to look to the future with hope. Since introducing that bill in Congress, my colleagues in the Hispanic Caucus and I have been working day in and day out to try to deliver a permanent solution to protect our immigrant communities. And as we said, since day one of the Biden administration, we are prepared to use all legislative tools available to us in order to deliver on immigration reform. Immigration reform, particularly relief for undocumented immigrants, has been an item that keeps getting pushed to the back burner of our federal legislative agenda. But I can say that that's changing. This year, the House made significant progress to provide a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, including Dreamers, TPS recipients, farm workers, and other essential workers. The House of Representatives passed 2 bipartisan immigration bills this year. That means both Democrats and Republicans supported it. We passed it out of the House, but the Senate Republicans failed to support those measures, and they blocked our efforts at every turn. Well, we will not accept Republican obstructionism for an answer. That's why we've moved forward to attach a pathway to citizenship for millions of undocumented immigrants to President Biden's Build Back Better Act through a process that's called reconciliation. Now, there are a lot of things that go on in our nation's capital that are hard to understand, and reconciliation is a little bit complex, but it's crucial because it allows us to pass legislation through the Senate with just a bare majority, with 51 votes instead of the normal 60 vote threshold. And when we are evenly split in that chamber and have the tie-breaking vote in the power of the vice president, being able to pass something with 51 votes rather than 60 votes is a lot easier. But there's one caveat, and that is a very arcane rule in the Senate known as the Byrd Rule. And that requires that any provision in the reconciliation bill be budgetary and changing spending or revenues. So it's got to change spending or revenues, and it has to be more than incidental. It has to be a major impact. Well, my colleagues and I feel very strongly that a pathway to citizenship and other solutions are budgetary because these are tremendous economic benefits when we allow millions of immigrants to fully participate in our democracy. And just one estimate, and this is about a decade old, from the Congressional Budget Office said that if we were to provide a pathway to citizenship for the millions of undocumented immigrants in this country, it would increase our economic growth by $1.4 trillion over 10 years. So we contribute a lot to this country. We have a huge positive economic benefit, and we need to start talking about how much we contribute to this country economically. Now, the parliamentarian ruled, unfortunately, that the first set of provisions we tried to include for immigration in the reconciliation bill, that the policy impact was greater than the budget impact. And so we are now in the process of trying other ways to get immigration reform done in reconciliation. We most recently submitted a proposal to update the registry date so that millions of immigrants who have been living and working in this country would be eligible for a pass. But yet again, the Senate presents an obstacle. But we are prepared, and we've worked with many of you to prepare for this battle. So we are not giving up. We have a plan C, D, E, F, G. We are not giving up until we can find some mechanism to provide this relief. And the truth is, I wish I had a better update from Washington, D.C., but because the parliamentarian doesn't believe that the reconciliation package is a legislative vehicle to provide a path to citizenship, we need to think about how we get around that. With the slimmest of possible majorities in the Senate, and without every single Democrat willing to vote for it, it's a tough needle to thread. But that doesn't mean that our fight is over. Again, we are researching novel ways to try to get immigration reform passed this term. We're using every single legislative tool and procedure at our disposal to try to provide some kind of permanent protections for undocumented people via reconciliation. We're not going to be content with inaction. We are not content with the status quo, and we cannot allow the minority party in the Senate to dictate what is or is not possible. At every turn, we have encountered the tyranny of the minority. 3/4 of the people living in the United States of America agree that we need to provide undocumented immigrants with a path to citizenship, yet only 10 senators can obstruct that and keep it from happening. 10 people in a nation of millions of people can block the will of 3/4 of the majority of the people. But as we continue to explore different legislative options, we are reminded of the importance of our vote. We can all continue to do more to make sure that we're electing federal officials who truly know and understand the importance of our immigrant communities. Elected officials who are not going to scapegoat immigrants for their own political gain. So I'm going to keep doing my work in Washington, D.C. to advance some legislative solutions that would provide relief and protect immigrants and their families. I want to thank each and every one of you for the work that you do day in and day out. All of us pushing towards the same goal together. We can get this done, and we will get this done. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it again for Congresswoman Linda Sánchez. And let's send her to Washington, D.C. with all our energy and all our hope for a better day for our communities and for the justice that they deserve. So are you ready now to just dig deeper in our next plenary on what our vision for immigrant integration is? Are we ready? Well, let me just begin to say, it's so important that we honor today, because today is a good day for us to work for justice. Again, my name is Angelica Salas. I'm the Executive Director of CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. CHIRLA is a California immigrant-led immigrant rights membership organization whose mission is to create a just society fully inclusive of immigrants and refugees. And we are proud to represent California, one of our nation's most pro-immigrant states, and that with the active participation of new citizen, Latinx, youth, Indigenous, Black voters just 2 weeks ago defeated a malicious anti-immigrant recall of our governor, whose only purpose was turning back all the gains that we have made in immigrant families. But you know what? We won, and we beat back that recall. As immigrant communities, we build power to win for our families, and we exercise that power to make sure we defend those wins. CHIRLA is so proud to be a member of the National Partnership for New Americans and to be in partnership with all the rest of our sister organizations and yourselves across this country. We want to take this opportunity to thank Nicole Milaku and the extraordinary MPNA team for bringing us together for this conference, both in person and also virtually. Let's give them a big round of applause for bringing us together today. And it is so important that we come together from around the country at this critical moment. You heard it from Congresswoman Linda Sánchez. As we gather here, decisions are being made in Washington, D.C. that will determine whether millions of immigrants living and working in the U.S. will finally be recognized with a permanent residency and a path to citizenship. Decisions are being made on whether thousands of migrants at our borders will be treated with the humanity and provided the refuge that they desperately deserve. And yes, decisions are being made as to whether our families will remain united and whether our hard-earned tax dollars will be divested from cruel immigration enforcement and instead put towards the programs that support the full integration of immigrants in this country. We gather together in Las Vegas, Nevada, to join our talents, our experiences, our energy to guarantee that those decisions by our elected representatives, by Senator Chuck Schumer, by Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, by Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden land on the side of justice and humanity, and that they say yes to immigrants, yes to citizenship. Are you with me? And we're here to demand that immigration be treated as a priority for this nation's recovery, and not one more issue on the progressive totem pole that is seen as dispensable. We set ourselves in motion here today to advance equity and human and civil rights for our country's 40 million new Americans. We gather with the hope that this year will be the year that this country recognizes are now called essential workers, immigrant workers who keep this country moving even while in a pandemic. And I remind you, who died in the hundreds of thousands so that their fellow Americans could live. This morning's plenary, Leaving No One Behind, our vision for immigrant integration, brings together a stellar lineup of our country's most effective organizers who are on the front lines to fight for immigrant and refugee justice. They will share with us the state of play, the state of our movement 9 months into the Biden administration, and they will reflect on what it's taking and what we need to do to ensure that any win on immigration justice will mean relief for all who need it in their lives. Are we ready? Are we ready? That's right. So please welcome to the stage my colleagues. First, I introduce Becky Belcour, who's the Executive Director of NIIC. Join me up on stage. Sergio Gonzalez, Executive Director of the Immigration Hub. Nana Nancy, the great Nana Nancy from the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, Baji. We have Abe Lugo, activist here and one of our youngest leaders. I see Abe. There we go, Abe Lugo. And then we also have Grisa Martinez Rosas, Executive Director of United We Dream. Give them a big round of applause for all the work they're doing on behalf of our families. Well, I think I'm going to be asking my questions from the podium. So welcome, my fellow sisters and brothers in the struggle for justice. Thank you for being here today. So our time is limited. So what I wanted us to do, and as we come together, is for you to give us a reflection. 9 months into the Biden administration, what do you see the state of our movement? And most importantly, what is your vision and your work today in order for us to realize the dreams of our families and the dreams of our young people and the dreams of our ancestors, so that we could be the ones who actually continue their fight for justice? So I'm going to start with Becky and give you the floor. They're on. They should be on.
Can you hear me?
No.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
It's
morning.
amazing to see all this power in this room. Just looking at you all, I know we can win. As Angelica mentioned, my name is Becky. I work with the National Progressive Asian American organization called NIIC, and we're really excited to be with you here today. We think that the title of this panel is very fitting, Leaving No One Behind. And when we think of the state of play right now, we feel like there is a risk that our immigrant community could be left behind again. All of the organizations on this stage, and many of you have been working, as has been mentioned, to include a pathway to citizenship for our undocumented community members in the budget reconciliation process. And it's been horrifying to see how our administration has been treating our Haitian brothers and sisters and siblings at the border. And so if we kind of ground ourselves in where we've come the last 4 years, that we have endured and survived and fought and won many local and state victories during the Trump administration, we're able to preserve DACA and also push back against the elimination of the family-based immigration system. And then our communities turned out in full force during the 2020 elections. And for us in particular, as Asian Americans, having helped be deciding factors in elections in places like Pennsylvania and Georgia and here in the state of Nevada. And then we started the year with powerful campaigns to hold the Biden administration accountable to his promise and their promise to deliver a pathway to citizenship for our undocumented community members and to stop the detentions and deportations. And now we're in this moment where the parliamentarian, an unelected advisor, has advised twice against providing a pathway to citizenship, even though we all know that immigration, as Congresswoman Sánchez said, is budgetary. And we are unwilling to accept this. We know immigration is budgetary. We've been waiting 35 years or more. And we also know that the vice president has the authority to sidestep the parliamentarian and that the senators have the ability to deliver relief for our people. And so we in the field, we must really muster up increased political courage on behalf of our communities this year and not allow for our communities to be left behind once again. We hear there are many competing issues, and of course there's healthcare, climate change, senior care, and all of these are important to our community as well, as is immigration, and it must stay in. And so we will be going all in and all out with all of you to make sure that the Democrats in this country delivers on the promise of a pathway to citizenship for our people. And at NACASAC, we will be doing an action tomorrow, which we're sort of playfully calling Citizenship or Buzz. But it's actually a very solemn ceremony that we're going to do. You all are some of the last people that will see me with a full head of hair. We're actually going to be, there's something within Korean and Asian culture that comes out of the protest movement in South Korea, where folks, to demonstrate the urgency and importance of the moment, shave their heads to bring national attention to a very important issue. And so we will be doing that tomorrow. We invite you all, you can do it with us from here. Join us, support me. There's many other things to do as well. But thank you. And we look forward to fighting with you the rest of this year.
Thank you so much. And then I'll just pass it on to Sergio and remind you 2.5 minutes.
Okay. First of all, I just really want to give a shout out to Nicole and Nick and all the people again who worked on this conference. I knew Nicole since she was throwing down. We were throwing down together in Colorado. I don't know who here is from Colorado, but shout out to my 5280 people. So state of play, state of our movement. I say that the state of our movement is powerful. I say the state of our movement is strong. I say the state of our movement is hopeful. I say the state of our movement is inspired. And this last week has been a difficult one. The last few weeks have been a very difficult one for us. To watch the things that we've had to see on our television screen, to see the things that we've seen on social media of what's happening in Del Rio and at the border. That is not what we worked for in the 2020 election. That is not what our people turned out for in the 2020 election. We know that this is a clarion call for justice, a clarion call for equity, a clarion call, as Becky said, that we have been waiting on for over 35 years. What were you doing in 1986? Because that's the last time a bill passed through Congress. Many people in this room were not alive or born in 1986. I was. But this is something that has gone unanswered for far too long, and we are not going to let an unelected bureaucrat put the nail in the coffin of something that we've been waiting on for decades. We know that Democrats, we know that the president, we know that Speaker Pelosi and that Leader Schumer have the power to get this done. We work to get them elected, not to elect a parliamentarian who sits in some back room in Congress. And because of that, we have been working on multiple scenarios and multiple options to get this done. And so, yes, she made a really bad ruling, a ruling that all of us on stage disagree with very much and adamantly, not just because it is an immoral ruling, because it is a ruling that is unjust and unfair and ignores the contributions, both economic and otherwise, from our communities, but also because just based on actual Senate procedure and process, it's flat out wrong. She conjures up arguments to get to know. But we know that there obviously is a direct economic benefit and impact by providing a path to citizenship for immigrants. $1.7 trillion as much. So, despite the fact that we are very upset about the ruling, that we will continue to talk about why it was a bad ruling and why Senate Democrats must move forward regardless, we're teeing up other options to bring before her. Because we will keep working until we actually get to yes. This is not an issue that we can leave 2021 on unresolved. No more waiting. I've worked on this issue for many years. I was part of the Gang of Eight, the group that worked on the bill that passed out of the Senate in 2013. And sadly, we passed the bill out of the Senate and then the House never acted on it. That cannot be the case this year because we do not know what will happen in 2022 or 2024. God forbid the barbarians come back into power. So we've lived in that darkness before. We will continue to be the cracks of light in those moments like what happened in Del Rio, in making sure that we actually get reform passed this year. And I want to thank you all for actually doing the work on the ground, building our power to make that happen, because we have to continue to press the White House, continue to press Congress to actually get this done. Thank you.
Ms. Nana?
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time. I'm looking at the clock. I'm gonna try to do what we need to do. First of all, shout out to Black Nick. If you're in the house, shout out to Black Nick. And thank you so very much for allowing us to elbow some space, my sister Nicole, in this wonderful conference. So I'm the other side of the Sergio coin. Always. When I saw the title, Leave No One Behind, I was like, that's already happened. And I want to take us back to last summer. And I want us all to remember last summer, because hashtag, I know what you said last summer. Hashtag, I remember what you said last summer. Last summer, you said you were going to censure Black people. You haven't done that at all. Censoring Black people does not just mean having us speak, that we love to do it. But we're not trying to be the kente cloth tablecloth at your dinner, where some of us are on the menu. That's not what it is. Anti-Blackness includes an indifference to Black suffering. And so when we tell you that criminalization and the criminal bars in these bills harm Black people, and you respond as a major immigrant rights leader responded to me, well, now someone has to be left behind. I have to say that we're not censoring Blackness. And so will we censor Blackness as we move forward? Love to speak to Congresswoman Sánchez and others about that. How do we censor Blackness? We said last time in the summer, just a year ago, that we were going to reject the good immigrant dichotomy. Remember that? Remember how we said, we're not going to let them do what they did last time. We're going to make sure that we don't let them say, we're going to put the criminals to the side. And yet that's exactly what we've done. We have not full-throatedly as a movement. There's some folks, like the people that are on our table until we're free, the table that Baji convened this summer. There are some people who have full-throatedly said, hey, don't layer any criminal bars. Hey, universal waivers so that people who have criminal contacts in their past are able to get out. But you know what? Sadly, disgracefully, that is not what has happened as a movement. And so again, I remember what you said last summer. I remember what we said about not reducing ourselves, like in the days of enslavement, to dollar signs. I remember that. Do you remember that? That we weren't going to define ourselves in economic terms. Now we've picked up a way to the pathway that requires us to do that. Can we do something different? Can we square up with this filibuster? Can we square up with the Republicans? Can we fight them and draw a line and stand up instead of blaming the referee when we have the capacity to overturn the referee? I remember what you said last summer. And I remember what we said about not trading our liberation for enforcement dollars, whether that be border or whether it be internal enforcement. How many of you even spoke up about the border dollars that are in that reconciliation bill right now? And so I leave us with the questions about how we're going to move forward. Si se puede, but you know what? Also, we nu capaz. as they say in Haitian Creole. Also, I'm meant to meet, as we say in Tree. There are more people. We hear Si Se Puede and we don't hear ourselves. We realize that we remember what you said last summer, but you don't. Thank you.
Well, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Abraham Lugo. I am 20 years old. I think I'm the only 20-year-old. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but here I am. And I think if we want to talk about where we're at and where we really stand right now within this entire conversation is just look at where we are right here, right now. And I think that is where we can begin to see that the definition of what an American looks like is in a way that I think that we can all agree with. It looks different. It looks different than what they wanted us to think it looked like. And I'm looking at everyone here, I'm looking at myself, sitting here with these fantastic people, and I think I can confidently say it looks different. And so the way that we move forward and we can actually mobilize the change that we want to see is by just remembering something and spreading it at any capacity and at any space that you can. And I think that message is, if it's one of us, it's all of us. And I think if we can remember that, that's when we can begin to mobilize forward. So where we are right now, I think we can move forward with two steps. One is accountability, and two is acknowledgement. So what I mean by accountability is when we see these promises that were made last summer of a new future, of a new age with immigration policy, and we're going to stop the criminalization of immigration, is when we see right now that when Haitians are in a crisis and they come to seek asylum, their right to seek asylum, we're denying them at the border. So where's the truth? Are we just going to allow that to continue in the name of democracy and being progressive? I think that's a conversation that we need to have and say, you're not giving us what you promised. And we don't need immigration policy today. We need immigration reform yesterday. And so now we're here, and how it begins is by holding the people that said they were going to give us this future. I'm undocumented. I'm a DACA student. I'm a dreamer. And I know what it's like to have everything stripped away from you, and every step of the way it's no, 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 and you just have to smile and be the one to tell yourself yes, because nobody else is going to say yes to you. So I leave you with this message today in the fact that we're all here, we're all present, and we're all mobilizing in our communities, even in the smallest of ways. And that's where acknowledgement comes in, because you don't have to be speaking on a stage to mobilize and create change and get our legislators and our leaders to really hone in on what their promises are. It just begins with you advocating for your stories and what your story and background and culture looks like. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to talk about the new American leaders and what they look like, they're not going to come from the stories that we've been hearing for the past decades. They're going to come from you, your immigrant stories, your family's immigrant stories, and the languages that you can speak and you can't speak. So thank you so much for having me today, and I leave you with that. I congratulate you all for being here. Thank you.
Take it away, sister. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have,
The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. Sisters, brothers, siblings, my name is Gracia Martinez Rosas. I use pronouns like she, her, and they. I'm undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed, and I'm really, really proud to be United We Dream and United We Dream Action. As we face this moment, it's very important for us to understand that we are big, that we unseated a white supremacist from the White House, that we are the people that knocked on doors, that made the calls, that nursed the grief that our communities have faced in the last 35 years of injustices. So sometimes, in this moment, we are bearing the brunt of a broken democracy that was not built for us. We are bracing the brunt of the weakness of political parties that don't want to stand up for our communities. But let me tell you, sisters, brothers, siblings, that this movement that we're building together, that the blueprint and the vision for the pathway forward is up to us right now. We are building the pathway forward together. And if I may say in the next two minutes, what I think are the big building blocks of this blueprint. You know, my dad was a Southern Baptist preacher and he was a carpenter. He taught me about the importance of planning, of putting in where you're gonna put the bathroom, what's the blueprint of the house that you're building. And so as we build this blueprint of the movement of our dreams, I wanna put forward 3 things that we should keep in mind. The first one, sisters, brothers, siblings, is the unapologetic belief that you yourself, sitting in that seat, are worthy, that you are enough, that being Black and being brown and being queer and being a woman is beautiful and should be uplifted. If you don't believe that, the world will not believe that. Politicians will feel like they can treat us whatever way they want to treat us. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge the courage and the vision and the discipline that Nana just displayed on this seat. Because she is embodying this idea of remembering that we are somebody and being able to demand exactly what our God-given dignity deserves. So that's the first pillar of our blueprint. The second one is that we must remain really disciplined in the discipline of hope, the discipline of organizing, grassroots-based building organizing, and the discipline of ensuring that we are building independent political power, because we do not owe ourselves to the Democrats, we do not owe ourselves to the Republicans, we owe ourselves to our families, our community, and our movement. And the third pillar that I would leave you with today is this commitment of seeing ourselves as a part of a racial justice movement. For too long, anti-Blackness has been pervasive in our work. And to be honest, it's hard not to do that when you're swimming in white supremacy every day, and patriarchy, and this idea that being queer should be something to be ashamed of. And as we move forward towards getting better every single day, we must remind ourselves that in the last 35 years of inaction on citizenship has also meant the ballooning of the budget of ICE and CBP. They are a lawless and uncontrollable police force that stole my father from me 10 years ago, that have our sisters, brothers, and queer people in detention centers right now, and that we must abolish today and the decades to come. And so, I invite you to join me, United We Dream, the people on this panel, in building a Black-led, youth-powered, multicultural democracy. Because this is our time. This is our moment. We are building the blueprint and the movement of our dreams. And no one campaign, no one organization can do it by itself. We have to do it together. And so as I leave today, I want to remind us that we have come too far, that we will not turn around, and that we will flood the streets with justice. We'll flood the streets with justice. We'll flood the streets with what? Justice. With what? Justice. Because we are freedom bound. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Buenos días. Buenos días. We are here to fight for justice. We are here to fight for our ancestors and for our descendants who are yet to be born. My name is Maria Elena Incapié. I am the director of the National Immigration Law Center. Soy colombiana. I'm a naturalized citizen. We came with green cards when my father was brought as a guest worker to work in the textile factories. But a green card, legal status, did not keep my family from being poor. It did not keep us from my parents being unemployed. The poverty that shaped my life, that economic injustice that harms every child who wakes up hungry in this country and around the globe, the racial injustices, the discrimination, the inequities, the number of times that my father knocked on doors to try to rent an apartment, and because we had 10 kids, they would not rent to us. And because they didn't speak English, they would not rent to us. We had legal status. The National Immigration Law Center stands with every single one on this stage and with all of you to fight for citizenship. But we want full citizenship. We want citizenship for every single individual, and that citizenship comes with economic justice, with racial justice, with health justice. My mother, we grew up in the United States, again, with green cards, and that privilege did not allow us still to have health care. When in this country we are denying the ability for people to be healthy, to live healthy and thriving lives, while insurance companies and pharmaceuticals are profiting off of our illness, that is not a democracy that centers the humanity of every single one of us. Mi mamá decía, sin salud no tenemos nada. My mother used to say, without health, we don't have anything. In the pandemic, the globe has just seen what happens when we don't have health. We are interdependent. Our humanity, our futures are dependent. And this administration has prioritized the pandemic, and yet it is expelling people based on a Trump policy of Title 42, saying that people trying to come to this country are a public health crisis. That is why Haitians and so many other people are being turned away. The anti-Blackness that is grounded in who this nation is, right? We heard Roulon talking and sharing his pain, intergenerational pain of this nation being grounded on the violence of trying to exterminate our indigenous peoples, on enslaving our African descendants. Everyone else except our indigenous people and African descendants are immigrants in this nation. So we have to ground our fight not to be just about legal status, citizenship, but one that is about economic and racial and gender and health justice. And that is our fight forward. We must ground and center our immigrant justice fight in the fight for all of our communities. Se puede! Se puede! Sí se puede!
Thank you so much. You get to keep that right here.
Are you committed to win for our families?
I want to thank our sheroes, our warriors in justice who are here, who are doing the work. I mean, you had 2 minutes to talk about all the amazing work that you're doing, and you did it with such power. And I just want to say to you that what we have to do to each other, with Nana, Gracia, Abraham, Becky, Sergio, Maria Elena, is that we have to commit to each other, that we're going to work with each other so that our families are not left behind. Not by the politicians,
not by anybody else, and certainly not by us. So thank you so much, and let's give it up for them for this powerful plenary. I have now, as they leave the stage, we have another invitee who's going to now speak to us about her vision of integration in the United States. It is my pleasure to now introduce to you Mendoza Jaddou, who was appointed the Director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services on August 3rd of 2021. Jaddou previously served as Chief Counsel of USCIS and from June 2014 to January 2017. Most recently, Jaddou was the Director of DHS Watch. I was a big fan, by the way, when she did this, because she kept us in the loop on everything that was happening. She's also served as an adjunct professor of law at the American University's Washington College of Law and counsel at the Potomac Law Group Center. And from 2012 to 2014, Jaddou was responsible for developing and implementing congressional strategy for the U.S. Department of State as Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Bureau of Legislative Affairs. And this, I think, is just where she's grounded. Jaddou also served as Chief Counsel for the Subcommittee on Immigration and Citizenship in the U.S. House of Representatives and as Senior Counsel for our champion Representative Zoe Lofgren. Jaddou is a daughter of immigrants, a mother, and she is here with us to share with us her vision for our country and for our immigrant family. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in the 2021 National Immigrant Integration Conference. Today, we celebrate a theme of leaving no one behind, our vision for immigrant inclusion. I'd like to take a moment to thank Nicole Milaku and the entire team of the National Partnership for New Americans for making this conference possible. Despite our continued pandemic posture, NPNA has moved mountains to ensure that this conference is safe, flexible, and accessible to the broadest audience possible. And to this year's co-hosts and conference organizers, thank you very much for your efforts and your support. It's an honor to be with everyone here today. USCIS recognizes and honors the vital role that immigrant serving organizations across this country play in uplifting and safeguarding our immigrant communities. I know during your last session, the focus was legislative strategy. I'm here today to share more about what we can do as an agency at USCIS. USCIS sees this time as a moment for us all to reset and refocus. We're committed to ensuring that our fiscal and operational health are chief among our many priorities under new leadership. A healthy USCIS, one that is fiscally and operationally sound, is critical to supporting an immigration and naturalization system that can efficiently and effectively deliver services and benefits to applicants and beneficiaries. And since January of this year, USCIS has committed to doing just that. We've been hard at work over the past 9 months to operationalize and solidify the Biden-Harris administration's vision for immigration, to break down barriers and promote access to immigration benefits and services for all who are eligible and seek them. These policy priorities are expressed in several executive orders, proclamations, and policy directives that seek to, 1, promote full and fair access to our legal immigration system. 2, acknowledge the contributions that immigrants make to our society. 3, embrace our humanitarian responsibilities as a nation. And 4, encourage those who are eligible to take advantage of the benefits of citizenship. As we reset, USCIS is focused on ensuring that we're processing requests in a timely manner and making tools and resources available to people who are navigating the immigration process, and meeting communities where they are to talk, to listen, to engage in diverse and creative ways, as we're doing today. As we march towards fulfilling these goals, as well as new and evolving priorities, we realize that it's equally important to work towards restoring trust and confidence in USCIS and the naturalization process. At the heart of this effort is a whole of government approach to do just that. Break down barriers to the naturalization process through policy changes and operational means, and promote naturalization and the importance of US citizenship through outreach and promotion, understanding that our goal is to strengthen integration for new Americans. USCIS is driving this effort through policy and operational changes that we're making internally, but also in partnership with 11 federal agencies who are a member of an interagency naturalization working group that USCIS chairs. Together, we developed a strategy for promoting naturalization and integration for new Americans that was released by the White House in July. This working group is building capacity for new and expanded partnerships and implementing a robust public engagement strategy with federal, state, and local partners, community-based organizations, networks, and businesses. In addition to this, USCIS has sought feedback about how to remove barriers to accessing immigration benefits and services across all avenues. As we work to promote naturalization, we're equally committed to ensuring the process is accessible and that applicants understand the process and its many benefits. We recognize that accessibility inherently includes affordability. Simply put, being able to naturalize should not be based upon one's wealth, period. We know that naturalization allows applicants and their family members to more fully participate in life as citizens of this great country, empowered with the many rights and responsibilities that the title citizen confers. There's a reason why citizenship is the first word in the name of our agency. While naturalization is the end goal, U.S. citizenship is a journey, and USCIS is committed to ensuring that people can embark on this journey by successfully naturalizing in a timely and efficient way. USCIS has sought feedback about how to remove these barriers to accessing immigration benefits and services across all avenues. In the spring, we issued a request for public input to hear directly from the public. I'm so glad to say that as part of this effort, USCIS received approximately 7,400 comments from all corners of the country. We're actively reviewing those comments, and I'm pleased to say that many of the ideas that were raised are things we have already tackled. Other recommendations solidified ideas we were already exploring, and there were also new ideas raised that we're now actively conducting research on and considering. Ensuring timeliness entails providing good customer service, which I believe is a vital function of USCIS. That starts with our ability to process cases in a timely and efficient manner. Every single applicant who seeks a benefit from USCIS is entitled to an answer, be it yes or no, in a reasonable amount of time, depending on the complexity of the request. Quite simply, that's what a functioning and healthy government looks like. An agency that effectively and clearly responds to requests and questions from the people it serves in an expeditious manner. This is what USCIS will strive to do. To provide good customer service and public outreach, we're fully committed to using 21st century tools to improve agency efficiency and enhance customer service. We have a host of online self-help tools to better serve applicants and beneficiaries, such as our new online naturalization eligibility tool and our redesigned naturalization application page. Let me also be clear. I recognize that there is more, a lot more for USCIS to do. Nowhere is that clearer than when it comes to processing delays and backlogs. It will take time to fully realize success in this area. As current events demonstrate, more and more is being demanded of USCIS. And when called to serve, this agency will respond swiftly and appropriately to meet the moment upon us. This is especially true in the case of Operation Allies Welcome. USCIS is committed to efficiently and humanely resettling tens of thousands of Afghans and their families who served honorably alongside American forces. That said, new policy and operational changes have allowed USCIS to make significant strides in addressing our COVID-related frontlog, backlog, and scheduling constraints. Since January 2021, USCIS has been able to reduce the number of pending naturalization applications by more than 165,000. We've also cut pending ASC appointments from a high of 1.4 million in January to approximately 179,000 today. We've made great headway in addressing our intake processing backlog at USCIS lockboxes. In January, we had more than 1 million cases waiting to get processed. And by July, we fully eliminated what has been coined a front log. And since January 2020, we've completed over 93,600 video interviews for naturalization applications, allowing us to return to pre-pandemic processing levels for naturalization. I also recently appointed Dan Renaud, a seasoned civil servant with decades of experience, to lead an agency-wide effort to address processing delays and backlogs. We'll continue to use all available policy and operational improvements to reduce both the number of pending cases and overall processing times. USCIS is also focused on its work to promote immigrant integration. Integrating people into our nation as quickly as possible is the right thing to do for our country. And that starts with us giving people what they need: status and the ability to work in a lawful way. Last month, USCIS announced a total of $10 million in grants to 40 organizations that prepare permanent residents for naturalization and life as US citizens. These grants also aim to promote prospective citizens' integration into American civic life. We anticipate that approximately 25,000 aspiring citizens will receive citizenship preparation services as a result of these awards. We also offer tools and resources to help immigrants integrate into life in the US, such as Welcome to the United States, a guide for new immigrants. Well, we will continue to look for ways to grow the impact of this grant program, including by sharing best practices we learn from our grantees and by finding ways to partner with others who provide naturalization and integration services, including many of the organizations who are here today. I'd like to conclude with a couple of thoughts that I feel are often overlooked when discussing immigration, but are certainly appreciated by the leaders gathered here today. The first is that when someone becomes an American citizen or receives another immigration benefit, not only does that help the individual, but it benefits us all. The work we do is ultimately in service to fulfilling the promise of immigration and naturalization that Congress set out for us. The other point is that while we do grant benefits to foreign nationals, the vast majority of our work is serving US citizens who want to be with their families and US businesses that need talented employees. Again, this underscores the fact that the work we do every day is of vital importance to the well-being of our nation. As the new director of USCIS, an agency that naturalized my own parents, I'm committed to carrying out our work with this in mind. All too often, immigration is painted as an issue of us versus them, when really, our immigration system is about all of us working together to strengthen our nation now and for the future. Thank you for allowing me to join you today. I and USCIS as a whole very much look forward to working with you in the coming months and years.
Thank you for for that message, and we are really excited to introduce our next guest. Steve Sisolak was born into a working class family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where his parents worked hard to provide for 3 children. Steve inherited their blue-collar ethic, working full-time to put himself through college. Motivated by his passion for education, Steve decided to give back to the community that supported him by serving on the Nevada Board of Regents for 10 years. As a champion for parents and students, Steve stood up for Nevadans wrongfully charged out-of-state tuition and fought for increased state funding. Education remains a top priority for Steve as governor. In 2008, after 10 years as a university regent, Steve was elected to the Clark County Commission. We are in Clark County right now, where he served as chairman until being sworn in as governor of Nevada. On the commission, Steve was known as a coalition builder and a problem solver. Steve successfully managed the state's largest county budget and led the county through the Great Recession.
Thank you, Laura. As governor, he is working to strengthen Nevada's statewide economy by diversifying our industry and working to attract new fields and recruit job-creating companies to the Silver State. As a pro-immigrant governor, he also established the Office of New Americans as one of his first acts as governor of Nevada to ensure that immigrant community has a seat at the table in his cabinet level of the governor's office. Throughout his time in office, the governor's goal is to keep Nevada strong and moving forward by investing in education, creating jobs by diversifying the economy, and guaranteeing quality, affordable health care for all Nevadans. Steve is married to Kathy Sisolak, a daughter of immigrants from China, the first lady of Asian descent in Nevada, and one of 2 Asian American first ladies in our country. Brothers and sisters, please put your hands together and welcome Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak.
Oh, it's tough to live up to that introduction, but I thank you very much. And I know my wife would have loved to be here today because this issue is extremely important to her, as it is to me. Good morning, thank you for having me, and it is my honor to serve as the 30th governor of the state of Nevada. It is truly fitting to have the National Immigrant Integration Conference right here in Nevada, where 20% of our population is immigrant and refugee. That's 1 in every 5 Nevadans, meaning home means Nevada to more than 600,000 immigrants and refugees. Nevada ranked as the 3rd most diverse state in the entire country, according to the Diversity Index of the U.S. Census published this year. I would like to thank the National Partnership for New Americans for being the lead host of the conference, alongside the regional partners here in Nevada, the Asian Community Development Council, which my wife is very involved in, active and a big fan of, Make the Road Nevada, Plan Nevada, and countless others. Immigrants and refugees have contributed greatly to the state of Nevada and to the city of Las Vegas. Like our country, Las Vegas is a state created and built by immigrants and refugees from around the world. Immigrants and refugees are an integral part of the fabric of our nation and of our state. Over 30% of the businesses in Nevada are immigrant-owned. 32% of Nevada's healthcare workers are immigrants and refugees. And almost 30% of Nevada's workforce are immigrants and refugees. During the time of COVID, those healthcare workers are instrumental in us protecting our communities. Immigrants and refugees are farm workers up in northern Nevada, doctors and nurses in hospitals and clinics across the state, and our workforce in the casino and entertainment industry centered right here in Las Vegas. These industries were disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the contributions of our immigrants and refugees are a true testament to what our community is. Immigrants are not only essential workers, but they are essential to the recovery from the disaster brought on by COVID-19 pandemic. During the 2019 legislative session, in my first session as governor, I championed the creation of the Governor's Office for New Americans to help cement my vision for a more welcoming and inclusive state. It is one of the bills I was most proud to sign. Today, the Nevada O&A office is led by 2 immigrant women of color. I'm going to ask them to stand up. They're over here to my right. Sharina De Assis, an immigrant from the Philippines, who serves as director, and Maggie Salas Crespo, an immigrant from Mexico, who serves as senior advisor. Representation matters. These 2 women do more to protect immigrants and refugees and to help them along their way to success than any 2 other people in the state of Nevada. I cannot begin to thank them for the effort and work they put forward to help so many people that others have turned their back on. The Governor's Office for New Americans is designed to break down barriers, those barriers to success, to empower new and aspiring Americans to be economically self-sufficient and allow them to continue being assets to our state's cultural and economic growth, all while promoting their important contributions to our state's past, present, and future. I am proud to say that my Office for New Americans is doing just that every day, every week, every year. Immigrants and refugees have a seat at the table, the cabinet table, alongside where their voices can be heard and amplified and their issues addressed. Nevada has an ongoing commitment to welcoming immigrants and refugees in our state, especially with the current Afghan humanitarian crisis. Nevada embraces those that flee persecution and fearing for their lives and their families' lives in safety. And we are proud to welcome refugees from Afghanistan. This conference, being one of the most diverse cities in our country, is one of the most diverse states, should help inspire all of you to continue your work, to strive for an equitable and just economic recovery for everyone in every community, and to call on Congress to give our undocumented immigrants who are vital to our state and our country a long overdue pathway to citizenship. Our DACA recipients, our TPS holders, our farm workers, and other immigrant groups have contributed so much to our culture, our economy, that there must be lasting protections for them, permanent lasting protections. Nevada is stronger, Nevada is better because of our diversity. Immigrants and refugees enrich and revitalize our nation and our state. When you talk about diversity, all you need to do today is look to your left and look to your right and see what diversity really means in the state of Nevada. You represent true diversity, and I'm so proud that you're here with me today in Nevada. I have always called Nevada welcoming, where home means home to everyone, no matter where they are from. God bless you all. Have a great convention, and thank you so much for having me.
Governor, for that wonderful address. Now we're going to take a picture, and then we're going to invite another very special guest as we close out the opening session. We will not forget this, Nick, ever, because of our mask. Now we have a very special guest who's joining us virtually and sent an address because he did not want to not mark the occasion of our first gathering in person as the National Immigrant Integration Conference. So it's my pleasure to introduce remarks for the first time ever from a sitting president. Ladies and gentlemen, President Joe Biden.
I thank all of you out there for the work you do to ensure that America remains what it's always been. A nation that is nurtured and enriched by contributions, sacrifices, and dreams.
Hi, everyone.
Courageous people
I want to thank all of you out there for the work you do to ensure that America remains what it's always been. A nation that is nurtured and enriched by contributions, sacrifices, and dreams. Courageous people in every part of the world. I believe that building back better means recognizing the dignity and contributions of immigrant families, especially frontline workers who carried our country on their backs throughout this pandemic. That's why we made sure that COVID vaccines were free, expand regardless of eligibility, so that mixed status families could get the help they need, and dreamers could access emergency grants. That's why we made sure that COVID vaccines were free, regardless of immigration status. It's also why I strongly support giving dreamers, TPS recipients, and farm workers a long-awaited pathway
I've also directed my
permanent
cabinet
residence and
to make the
eventual
naturalization
citizenship
process
they all deserve.
faster,
We're
more
working closely
accessible,
with Congress through the
and more
reconciliation
efficient,
process
and
right
remove
now to
roadblocks
finally
to
make that a
accessing
reality.
immigration benefits.
I've also directed my
I
cabinet
proposed
to make the
$345 million
naturalization
in my
process
budget
faster,
to clear the
more
backlog of
accessible,
naturalization and
and more
asylum
efficient,
applications.
and remove
In our
roadblocks
democracy, the
to
title
accessing
citizen
immigration benefits.
is equal to everyone.
I proposed
Equal to the
$345 million
president.
in my budget
And I
to clear
believe
the
that this year,
backlog of naturalization
finally
and asylum
reach
applications.
so many deserving
In our
immigrants
democracy,
who've
the
already
title
sacrificed
citizen
so much and given
is
so
equal
much to our
to
nation.
everyone. It's equal to the title of president.
I want to thank
And I
you.
believe that this
Thank you
year,
all for the
we're
work
finally
you
going
do,
to put
for
within
moving us
reach
forward on this.
so many deserving
Thank you for
immigrants
helping us
who've
build a
already
nation.
sacrificed
For
so
all
much
of
and
us.
given so much to our
God
nation,
bless you all.
the prospect of citizenship. I want to thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all
President.
for
We're so
working
sorry
with
the video
moving
didn't
us
come on
forward on
screen. It is wonderful that you are affirming the work we do as a field and that you will honor ideals and values as we move forward a path for citizenship for millions of immigrants this year. We're going to have to move quickly, you all, to our tracks and our special session on Haiti. So please put on your sprints, and we will be reconvening at 11 o'clock for your track sessions and our special session on Haiti. If you have to make a difficult decision, don't worry. This special session on Haiti and leaders from the diaspora will be recorded, and you will be able to access it throughout the NIIC and join us here as well online to be able to watch it post-NIC if we need to. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in your tracks. And for the special session, I know it's a hard choice to make, and I think we'll be broadcasting this so that all of you can join from multiple vantage points of the day. Thank you all.